consider this shit backpacking when a nigga just love rapping, club packing, word flipping, acronym acrobating, verb spitting, and nouns only your mind fathom, synchronized with the drums on an ill minds pattern. Long as I got this beating hard, I'm ripping beats apart. I ain't know myself on a brick and it's still a piece of art. No frat boy, no skinny jeans, I'm more like the fat boys in Heavy D and 86 spitting free in the park. I've been patiently waiting, busting my brain and creating this album, making the statements an understatement. I'm taking rap flow to a plateau, these assholes you clap for just can't go. They mad slow, this fast forward thinking mine and mine be skipping past those theatrical fiascos in your whack show. I'm baffled by the skill you niggas lack though. Choruses repeating, it's boring what you speaking. I'm at war with all you heathens, I'm a warrior MC and man, I'm killing them.
Give them room to breathe. Ortiz, don't confuse them with these other cats pass across the board. New York, winner, holding this mic down, just he's back, give them room to breathe. Ortiz, he proud of me, I'm coming up and rap pass across the board. Yeah, I mean, winner, holding this mic down, just
niggas tiptoe around me, bunch of ballerinas. I see y'all calling out of work with the coward fever. Shit, I wouldn't want it with the hour either. Man, y'all don't hear me though, alopecia. Nigga line 100 niggas up and watch 100 niggas drop in 100 different spots, bunch of Dalmatians. I play this fire in my drop when I'm riding through your block, lifting everybody up, call that salvation.
He's back, give him room to breathe. Ortiz, don't confuse him with these other cats pass across the board. New York, winner, holding this mic down, just he's back, give him room to breathe.
That's really nothing.
I deliver you from evil when you listen to your speakers turned up like the club. Yeah, I get in with my sneakers and my workout attire. Feel my dick through these Adidas sweatpants. I don't dance two-stepping with a leader of whatever, but whatever though, I'm clever so you never know when I'ma lead that cadence and let cadence kick a better flow.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm telling y'all it's about to go down.
He's back, give him room to breathe. Ortiz, don't confuse him with these other cats pass across the board. New York, winner, holding this mic down, just he's back, give him room to breathe. Yo, he double L, I'm from another yow out of shit when I touch the winner. Holding this mic down, just
like this, you just can't peep. It's a natural, international, not that same old shit. Get split in half, figuratively speaking, take a blood bath when I run past them C's. Rock the mic like the sun splash is in Jamaica. The heartbreaker lyrics like a stake through your left pectoral. Your shit is horrible, unclean, like brand new momos on a Porsche. And your shit is sitting on rims. Let me begin to elaborate. Rings on his hands like each finger was Saturn. And the latest fashions, but the same patterns kept flashing up in his rap. Concerned with glamorous tales of fatalities like he was Tarantino. The analogy is we know that Quentin write fiction fantasies woven intricately while I'm predicting every motion. Them slight changes in your tone of voice is a toast to your parasitic choice of speak. Leaking cold blood out the arteries if you bit, cause we acidic. You can't configure like the great hieroglyphics. Resistance we incinerate. Lit it up, now I'm finna cut. Keep the demonstration of uniqueness.
It could be fatal, wait till they'll come back out and act out emotions and open
Don't you
black
ever
out.
forget, it could be fatal, wait till Oak come back out and act out emotions in Oakland blackout.
Hurrah, here comes Dell to dispel the blahs, cause and effect. Pause for respect collection. Diction, friction, depicting violence. Volatile with my profile like Molotov. MCs must be on autopilot. Waddle silent like some platypuses. Jealous down with data pushes with top secret floppy disk and battle armor and mecha. Plus all the rounds that are becking or double decker to check ya.
Electra, define laws of gravity. Avidly, rapidly firing lyrics, I'm shattering the abdominal cavity. Then I'm traveling out the spinal, finalizing your paralysis on the microphone. The catalyst is the capital L-I-N-D-S-E-Y. MCs try to test, but their mind gets blown.
Don't you ever forget, it could be fatal. Wait till they'll come back out and act out emotions and
Don't you ever
out.
forget, it could be fatal. Wait till Oak come back out and act out emotions and Oak black
Ain't no
out.
MC hurting me. Matter of fact, you work for me. Having stricken palladiums made me numb to anything you speak to desecrate the great hieroglyphics. And with it goes the flows that chop egos to segments. Behind the decimal points, I point backwards. Where you lack words, you toil but boil like coil clowns all around. Repelling, selling statues of whack fools. Statues for hieroglyphic travelers. Any lackluster MCs I mallet ya. Right on your cranium, crack it. Bust your teeth through your limbs, then tip you over. If you know of Del, well then. I ill constantly with consonants, followed by nouns and make nouns and manuscripts to whip challenges that ain't too talented. So before I reach my destination, let's waste some MCs for fun. I understand the fans' needs, so I feed them smorgasbords so they can gorge and MCs can gouge their eyes out from the tear gas emitted from my tongue, leaving fans sprung. And for the crews who high-strung, eat dung. They just gnats and ticks bugging me, hugging me nuts in a cuddly clutch. My hieroglyphic theory is validated by facts. Dilated the tracks so they wide and fat. Violated the whack, but colonized the wise words with more enzymes 10 times.
Yeah, Elmatic. Check.
Yeah, back at it. No doubt. Ha. It's been a minute. I know. Change is real and time don't stand still. Told you I'd be back, you know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm being rude. Yeah, let me get off this phone. I'll holler at you in a minute. Peace. Yeah, anyway, like I was saying, I woke up in the show and my song start playing. I'm like, dude, what if we was gonna do that tonight? DJ looking like, yeah, my bad, true that. But on the real, since the moment I arrived, every 5 someone asking, can you play some J Live? I told them next time, skip all that stress. Tell them real DJs don't take requests. Yeah, see we the Ghostbusters. Men in black, just look into the lights, you can trust us. Forget whatever song you were thinking. We select, you keep dancing and drinking. Speaking of which, not even that late. It's already jumping like Zion in the Matrix. Not a sword fight, neither more like, what's the opposite of Sheet Fest? Man, that's a deep guess. But you know to expect nothing less. My rhymes ain't checkers, kid, more like chess. That's why the queen stay fresh up on the scene. They checking for the king, nah, I mean. That real life, bonafide, certified, actual, factual, genuine articles, straight from the heart. I embody hip hop down to my last follicles, article. Cause she ain't just pretty, she's smart, sharp enough to break down darks. Later for that dumbed down radio rap on the charts. Sister and respect the arts. Cause your nigga bitch rap is bad juju. J-Live, love black woman like Buju. Her brother asked who that on stage, oh was he new? A shorty in the front turn around like,
Who you?
ha, and where the hell have you been? Ask your girl, that's the 3 best friends.
4 albums deep, sick with the pen, nice on the beats, plus he could spin.
She said she couldn't wait for the next one to drop. He said, I love a female that knows the hip hop. She gave him that look like her head, be quiet.
That brand of game is so goddamn
He
tired.
tried to play it off like for real, though it's true. She said,
Apparently I'm up on more than you.
ha, acting like it's a new phenomenon, man. Listen to the hook to the song.
What's good? This is Osiris, Middle MAGA. It's been a minute. I'm back. Thanks for joining. Old Jim Bob, thank you for the comments. Broken Traditions Thanks for stopping by. Said Osiris must be getting throttled. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm glad to have even one person in here. I'm just a dude in my basement, so it's grateful to have people come through. Life isn't simple, though. It's one of the things you see with the gray hair and everything that you learn as you get older, that life is complicated and things are not simple. And I want to start with saying I wish the best for. It's funny because I want to start by saying I wish the best for everybody. It's almost like Ye was like, I love everybody. When he said, I love the guy with the funny mustache. He's just like, I love it. He said, I love Hillary. I love everybody. And I actually felt that. He's like, I don't have any hate for anybody. And but it's weird. At the same time, I don't care about Argentina above my own country, but I do honestly want the best for them. And that's where I would like to start with that. Hopefully everything works out the best for Argentina. And that's what the live is going to be about, is not really Argentina, but Javier Milei. It is a very important historical moment. I have not been following it closely. I just followed it recently. And so I'm going to be coming from it from taking these pieces of information that I'm getting to put together a puzzle that it's complicated. And I don't know why anybody's celebrating it. It's something to be watching, but because I want to see how it plays out. You celebrate what you want to celebrate, but I don't see anything here that gets me like, whoa, I'm celebrated to see the first from the libertarian standpoint. He's a self-described anarcho-capitalist, and he's not my kind of anarcho-capitalist, that's for sure. Not totally, but we'll get into that. There's good to everything. Sometimes there's good, there's bad, there's ugly to me, to anybody. That's part of life. But the story is that it wasn't even close, man. It was kind of a beatdown. I wasn't expecting that, and this is going to be probably, before you even get into Javier, one of the big stories is how did this happen, and the ramifications of it. We're going to start with the way that they do their voting process over there. But I like this breakdown here from Peter, how he broke down the win that Javier just won, the precedent for Argentina, the beautiful country of Argentina.
There was jubilation in the streets of Buenos Aires as Argentina elected its first libertarian president, the Trump-admiring lion-maned rocker Javier Milei. In yesterday's election, he trounced the left-wing Peronists who have destroyed Argentina with a, quote, parasitic, corrupt, and useless government, currently running inflation at 143% per year, with a 40% poverty rate and rampant crime. The mainstream media, of course, was triggered. Left-wingers from CNN to BBC to the Washington Post called the devout libertarian Milei, quote, far-right, presumably trying to tar him with the authoritarianism they themselves champion every day. President Trump, meanwhile, warmly congratulated Milei, writing, quote, I'm very proud of you. You will turn your country around and make Argentina great again. Elon Musk posted, quote, prosperity is ahead for Argentina. For his part, the plain-spoken Milei promised that, quote, today the reconstruction of Argentina begins. It's the end of decadence. Now, if you spend any time online, you've probably seen clips of Milei's viral confrontations with, quote, leftards, or perhaps a clip of him flinging away useless ministries, making up roughly 60% of the Argentinian government. His campaign mascot is a chainsaw in Don't Tread on Me colors. Yesterday was expected to be close fought. Just last week, betting markets were 50-50 on who would win the election. 2 weeks ago, the socialist was favored. As you'd expect, local media ran a brutal fear campaign, as they did with Trump. Indeed, Argentine socialists have an army of vote buyers, euphemistically called neighborhood operatives, or punteros. Many of us here in America were waiting for those 3 a.m. burst pipes at the vote counting centers. Happily, either the vote fortifiers stood down or the voters overwhelmed them. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. Milei campaigned on abolishing the central bank, calling it a scam to cheat people through inflation. and instead adopting the US dollar as Argentina's currency, replacing the peso, which is currently undergoing its fifth hyperinflation since 1975. Now, the US dollar does have its own problems, considering it's lost roughly 93% of its value since it was entrusted to the Federal Reserve in 1913. Still, that is a lot better than the Argentine peso, which lost 93% of its value in the past 5 years. His other major campaign promises include gun rights to address Argentina's Chicago-level crime wave, and a wholesale slashing of government, which, despite being corrupt and useless, employs nearly 30% of the population. It's all good stuff, but alas, Milei comes to office without a majority in Congress, and he will continue to face a brutal local media. So unlike fellow based populist Bukele in El Salvador, who won major reforms, Milei will be facing a Trump-scale swamp. So far, he has been very good at connecting with regular Argentinians, and he will need them to push serious reforms through a hostile Congress and a hostile media. If he is successful, of course, if he can end hyperinflation, rampant crime, and parasitic government that has been ruining Argentina for decades, then yes, he could make Argentina great again and serve as inspiration for pro-freedom movements across Latin America and indeed here in the US. Either way, millions of us here in America are excited to see what Milei and the Argentinian people can achieve. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
The chainsaw is pretty cool. I can't lie, this dude is a good marketer. He's down the street. He's driving down the street, I think, or, in a car or whatever, in a parade, and this dude has a chainsaw out, man. It looks hardcore. And it's exciting to see. You can see the energy behind him. And Peter did a great job breaking that down there, basically what happened. I want to say this. Leftists need to take responsibility. I actually agree with some of the populist left on some of the concerns with him. But I first want to say the thing that it really bothers me, I'm talking about the based left. I'm not talking about like establishment bootlicking left. I'm talking about the true populist left that does exist. They do not ever take responsibility for the failure of their own policies. It's always somebody else's fault. And I understand there's interference by other governments and there's corruption that could exist in any system. Absolutely. But you never acknowledge your own faults and you just lose credibility. You guys are too much into spending. You guys are not fiscally responsible at all. Before the reason why why would I start on this after talking about this is because I am going to criticize Javier Milei, and I'm going to agree with the populist left a little bit, but I want to make sure that I get this out, that they don't take responsibility for crime wherever their policies are. Even the real, true populist left, you get corruption based on authority, centralized power, you get crime, and you get overspending and inflation. So you need to do some type of I need to see you do some more internal debate, some introspection, some internal reflection. It's almost like there's no self-awareness with my friends on the populist left. What do you see as the downsides to the policies that you guys, that's why there was so much energy and they're upset that Javier Milei won because they wanted the left to win. And I'm not against the left. Your policies just aren't working. And I don't see you being introspective enough to acknowledge that. I'm talking to friends of the show, Craig Pasta, Nico House, name whoever, Fiorella Isabel. I don't know if I've ever heard them criticize a populist left or a socialist left policy economically. It's like they just expect money to be raining down from the sky. It doesn't. That doesn't work. So I need more realistic. I need something from you guys to help me understand that you don't have some type of utopian, perfect idea of the world. So because of that, and that is a good place to start. I mean, when you look at Argentina, I mean, the first thing you think about is just beauty. I mean, Iguazu Falls. I don't know if this is the Brazil side or the Argentina side, but man, this is beautiful stuff, man. It's like some of the most beautiful scenes you'll see in the world on the planet. This is the Iguazu Falls. I mean, it looks surreal. And it's Argentina is a much bigger country than I thought. Looking at it, I haven't looked this in depth in probably since like social studies back in the day looked at Argentina like from a size standpoint. Elijah Schaefer had a good post here comparing it, putting it up next to Europe. Elijah Schaefer says, fun fact, Argentina has nearly double the population of Australia, but you could fit the U.S. inside of Australia minus Alaska. And while Argentina looks small on our intentionally dishonest maps, here's its real size in comparison to Europe. It's huge. My goodness. I mean, it's coming way up over Europe. I mean, it comes up like over half of, like when you go from the south to the north, it's like over half of South America as far as like lengthwise. It's a huge, important country. I envisioned it probably about half that size. So I'm just now looking at it, and this is a big deal because what you're seeing now, historically, we are seeing a case study for somebody who claims to be, and I guess there's different levels of this, but he's an unusual case of an anarcho-capitalist to me, but he claims to be an anarcho-capitalist. We've never seen someone who's self-described as an anarcho-capitalist or a libertarian get control of a country this size. It's never historically happened. So this is very important because this is kind of what, I'm not an anarcho-capitalist, but this is kind of what we're pushing towards, or we're saying more of these philosophies need to be ingrained in American culture, in our American politics and social structure to improve our country. So now we can go and look and see down the road what happens. But he's going to have, I don't know their government structure, but he's got different, he's going to have competing views. So I don't know how much that's going to play a role in this. But we are going to have to watch this and see what can he do, what can't he do, what is in his power to do that he will do. Actually, if he really is an anarcho-capitalist, he will do whatever is in his power to give himself less power. That's a unique situation that we've never seen before. And the good news is we'll be able to know really quickly. If you're really an anarcho-capitalist, we'll know real quickly, because what you would do is you'll be taking those, it's like Jenga, you'll be taking those Jenga pieces out, and it doesn't really matter what happens. So I think that's where it's a very savage, it's, to me, to call yourself an anarcho-capitalist is not something to take lightly. That means you are for complete and utter decentralization without question, and you would go ahead and take those Jenga pieces out no matter where they had to land. It's not like you would be taking the pieces out to make sure that the structure stays up. You call yourself an anarcho-capitalist. That means you want the whole tower to fall down. And the people, private businesses, they pick it back up. So I don't know how that's not his approach, I don't think, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know him a lot. I'm just now digging into him. So let me look at the comments before we go here. Mike has bad knees, haven't talked in a minute. I continue to harp on right-wingers celebrating a libertarian winning in Argentina while the Republican Party does everything it can to keep the LP off ballots in this country. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I don't know, a lot of the right-wingers, I don't think they understand these concepts. Like they said, Trump, I would bet money Trump doesn't understand anything about this dude. Not on the level that we kind of dig into here. He doesn't understand that. And he just understands this guy's popular. People in the MAGA circles, in the populist right circles. There is overlap between libertarians and the populist right. And Trump understands that, and Javier Milei represents that. So Trump's weighing in on it, like, okay, I'm gonna have to Trump's a marketer. I'm gonna be a part of this trending topic just to be a part of it. Obviously, if this was just some random country, Trump wouldn't care. Even if he had he could have had the same positions, and Trump wouldn't have cared less. But so Trump's riding that wave. In America, what happens is you have a competition for, let's just use president. The right wingers really don't have beef with the libertarians. They just don't want anybody to hurt their chances of winning. So what Mike Has Bad Knees is talking about is they have to try to keep the LP off ballots. That's just political battle. I mean, it's our political system is messed up, but that is the battle. If you can't keep them off the ballot, then you have to work with them. So my goal is LP get on the ballot and force the Republican Party to have to make concessions with you to get you off. That's what you want. You don't want them to keep you off the ballot, obviously, because then they don't have to negotiate with you. And we have seen that before, like Blake Masters. They had to negotiate even though he lost his Senate run. Boring Life, what's up? Says the left thinks government helps. It is the only thing that helps, and the problem is always not enough money. Yeah. Man, Boring Life has always had a way of phrasing things. So it's hard for them to be introspective when at the end of the day, they're always going to say there wasn't enough money. I mean, that's literally they're going to be their problem. They have no concept of printing money, causing inflation. They just said, well, there's more money. You can just do this. It's really frustrating. Old Jim Bob says the left knows they can't criticize because they have a culture of attacking any dissent, similar to how they did with COVID. Yep. Thank you. So that's Argentina. And socialism, I would agree, is a part of the reason why Argentina kind of struggling and falling. Here, David Nicholas talks about it. A century ago, Argentina was among the world's 10 wealthiest countries. Today, the country has a poverty rate above 40% thanks to socialism. Javier Milei's election is a victory for the free market and should serve as a wake-up call to Americans. And I think that's a really good place to start.
You say it's important for people to pay attention to what's going on in Argentina. Interesting development down there. What say you?
Actually, this is a huge free market win for Argentina. Argentina, the last 100 years, they've chosen socialism. This has led to surging inflation, declining standard of living, the worst economic crisis in the last decade. We've seen inflation 140%, pesos down 90%. Why? Because they've chosen socialism. What we're doing here with our central banks are insane government spending. It's a warning to the U.S. This doesn't work. It hasn't worked anywhere. And if we continue down that path, we could be in the same spot at some point, actually.
So that's what brought in this new era for South America politics. It's not even just Argentina. And the voting system is something to take note of. They use paper ballots there. This is actually Bill Mitchell, the aging lesbian. Let's get the aging lesbian's voice. As you guys know, the show Middle MAGA is diverse. It includes everybody, even aging lesbians. Bill Mitchell weighs in and says, how did Argentina count their ballots in one day and declare a winner? Two things: all paper ballots and no postal voting. As you can see from this map, very few countries allow postal voting. The green are postal voting available for all citizens on demand. And when you say very few countries, you've got US, Canada, and a few over, it looks like, in Europe. That's it. All paper ballots and no postal voting. And they counted it in one day. and then they were able to get a self-described anarcho-capitalist elected. Now, was that organic? Who knows? But I would say this is the biggest thing for us to look at in America. Bolsonaro, that was not paper. I'm not saying anything. I'm not alleging anything with the Bolsonaro. I'm just saying that was not paper voting. And obviously we know what happened in America. That's not paper voting. And I'm not even alleging anything on this. What I'm saying is that if we even cared about anything, we would say, you know what? Let's just even stop it for one election cycle. You can't do this because every state does it differently. But just hypothetically, you would just say, hey, let's just change this up. No machines in the country. And for mail-in, only for military, period. And let's see how that works. And I know that would cause some. We have the elderly. We have to help our elderly if they need to come out to vote. We would have to help, but I think we would have to do an experiment and see, well, how does that turn out? And I wonder if the results turn out really differently. Same day counts, and a lot of people you didn't think that were going to win happen to win. This is probably what would happen. What does that do? How does that change things? Even if everything is on the up and up with the mail-in voting, how does just even changing the approach, no shenanigans in play, no foul play, just straight up the ease of mailing a vote in than having to go in on one day to place your vote, how does that change the vote? You still get a chance to vote. It is more difficult for disabled, elderly. How would that change things? I think just the approach would change the results of the vote. And that's something that it's up to the states, but you would have to think about. And that's the biggest takeaway. If you look at America, that's the biggest takeaway. I don't think this happens with, again, no shenanigans. I don't think this happens with mail-in and, anybody gets a mail-in vote and digital voting machines. I don't think he wins. You have to decide what your culture of voting is going to be. And I say make it a holiday. Andrew Yang said that. Many other people have said that before him. I say make it one day, make it a holiday. You can do paper voting, no mail-in, other than our troops, and that's it. Help me understand if there's anything else that needs to be done. So that's a big standout from this whole story. Americans, the other thing is the America media. How is the America media? Let's check in on the America media right now. How are they acting? How are they reacting to this?
A far-right outsider compared to former President Donald Trump has been elected to president of Argentina.
Coming from the far right, Javier Milei.
A far-right politician.
The far-right politician.
Far-right candidate.
Far-right outsider.
Extreme right wing.
Milei is just way out there on the extreme scale.
Argentina has elected a right-wing populist.
Right-wing populist.
Right-wing populist.
Javier Milei is a populist who lacks government experience and displayed erratic behavior and foul language.
This is potentially a worrisome development.
He's promised some radical measures.
Wielding a chainsaw to symbolize his war on government spending, threatening vital public services.
He has absolutely no experience.
His screeds resonated widely.
His screeds resonated widely with Argentines,
particularly young men.
Milei's controversial tirades against the political class have drawn comparisons to neighbor Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro, as well as former President Donald Trump.
He has been deemed the Donald Trump of Argentina.
Milei's campaign drew comparisons to Donald Trump's here in the U.S.
Milei, who has been compared to former President Donald Trump. You can guess who congratulated him by saying, "Make Argentina great again."
Make Argentina great again.
Maybe these anti-democracy forces will, in the end, get overwhelmed. But that didn't happen in Argentina, not even close.
So I guess the American media is trying to label him, there's not much that is more annoying to me at this point. I can't lie. It is still very annoying to hear the American media label people as right wing. It is just so annoying. It's right wing this, it's right wing that, far right this, and you've got somebody who should be on his face should be on each bag of Wonder Bread. Tim Pool. That's not a diss. I'm a big Tim Pool supporter, but I'm going to give it to you straight. His face should be on every bag of Wonder Bread because he's just really measured, and his takes are as spicy as a loaf. And he's called a far right. So Javier Milei, Tim Pool, Michael Malice, and Dave Rubin are all considered the same type of ideology. And then Jimmy Dore. They call Jimmy Dore right. I mean, it is insufferable at this point. I don't know what to do about it. It's almost like a song that's in your head. It's like right wing this, and then it's the right wing this, it's the right wing that.
A far-right outsider compared to former President Donald Trump has been elected.
And then it's just so smug and casually, and it's done by people like this person here, and it's nothing against her personally, but she probably doesn't even know a right wing from a chicken wing. She's like, it's a far right. She just whatever. They could have told her to say far left, and she would have said it too. They could have told her to say anything. They could have told her to say he's a racist, and she probably would have said the same thing.
A far-right outsider compared to former President Donald Trump has been elected to president of Argentina.
Coming from the far right, Javier Milei.
A far-right politician.
The far-right politician.
Far-right candidate.
I just think at this point, I just have to listen to it over and over again. That's how I do it with these songs. My kids listen to all these kid pop songs or whatever, and they get in my head. And the way I get them out of my head is I listen to them a lot.
Been elected to president of Argentina.
Coming from the far right, Javier Milei.
A far-right politician.
The far-right politician.
Far-right candidate.
Far-right outsiders.
Extreme right wing.
See, I'm just you know what, whatever. You want to call me far right? I'm just going to be far right now. Just far right. Coming from the far right, it's just, I think you just own it. It's almost like these black imams, they still go with if you disagree with certain black imams, they just go with this raccoon if people don't know. And I just so somebody called me a raccoon earlier today, and I was like, I'm a super raccoon to you, sir. I was like, my nigga, call me super raccoon. And I'm just like, I think that's the best way to kind of do this. But they still do have the power. They reach the most normies. Even though YouTube is increasing, at least from the standpoint of more TVs get YouTube, so you are going to be able to see small creators watching them on TV. I mean, if you're a creator on YouTube, you can see, you've probably seen that, how many people watch you on TV, which is pretty crazy to think about. But you would like to see Rumble do that, X get a TV app, because people still turn on the tube and watch it, so they still have power. Jeff O'Donnell, I like Jeff O'Donnell's comment. They went from don't cry for Argentina to let the chainsaws rip. And people are desperate. And people are desperate for a change. And people need hope. You definitely need hope. And you don't need false hope, though. I completely despise, I absolutely despise the concept of false hope. I am very strong against I'm perfectly okay with hope, but don't give me false hope. That's the worst type. And sometimes there can be hope. It's a glass half full or open. You can be given bad news and it can be good hope. So maybe Javier isn't what you thought he was, but it's still hope in that he's moving the Overton window towards liberty. Even if it's not going, even if he's not fully liberty, or maybe he is, but can't get over the, I don't even know what their government structure is there, but the opposition in the government. So I think from the standpoint of Americans, I think we've got to make sure that we're rooted in solid, respectful hope. Just in, Colin Rugg, Argentinian stocks are soaring after the election of libertarian and economist Javier Milei. Some of Argentina's U.S. listed companies saw an increase of 20%, including YPF, Soledad Anomia, an energy company, which is up 40%. Milei gained fame by waging war on Argentina's far-left socialist agenda. Socialism is always and everywhere a violent, murderous, and impoverished phenomenon, he said during an interview with Tucker Carlson. Socialists don't like the invisible hand. They prefer the claws of the state, and they hide it behind the discourse of social justice. This sort of social justice is deeply unjust because it's premeditated by unequal treatment under the law and preceded by a robbery. So you can see why libertarians like him a lot. And F a libertarian, who doesn't like those comments? I like those comments. Now, my friends on the left might not. But I don't think it applies to them unless, I don't think they fully understand what he means by that. But he went on, I thought socialism was a mental illness, why they couldn't understand the data. They always have really poor justifications, but I thought it was a mental problem or numbers. But I realized that it's a disease of the soul. So you can kind of see how this dude kind of riled up some people. He got the energy. People were comparing him to Donald Trump, and there's really no substantive well, I don't want to say substantive. There's no policy comparisons. The comparisons to Donald Trump are that he's a people person, that he resonates with people, and he can create a movement. That's the end of the comparison that are worth making to me. So he's a guy with bad hair. Why? But his hair looks cool though. It's not bad hair. I mean, some people say, well, his hair looks bad. Well, actually, like Donald Trump, does his hair look bad? No, it actually is cool because he's Donald Trump. And so that's the comparison that you can make with him. You don't want to make comparisons with him and Donald Trump to me because he's younger. He's about 53, I believe. He has the energy that you need. Here's Javier Milei getting out of his car to greet school children in Argentina and doesn't care about the safety or anything like that. He's in the streets with the people. Not that he doesn't care about safety, but he obviously didn't care about safety more than stopping for these kids. You get the general feel that he authentically and genuinely likes people. That's the feel you get, and that's why people like him. And you're coming out of a system that is very authority-focused, and he's trying to break that down. And then he gets up on a stage, and he basically is like, I want to create lions, basically, is what he's saying. He said, I didn't come here to guide sheep. I came here to wake up lions. I want to hear you roar. Long live freedom. Long live freedom, God damn it. Long live freedom, God damn it. Listen to that delivery. Like in America, when we look at this and learn from it, I'm a nationalist, and I have to look at the definition of isolationist. I'm definitely not 100% isolationist, but I'm definitely some percentage of isolationist. I'm a nationalist. If you, though, are in a bubble and you're not paying attention to the world outside, I don't think we should have military bases all over the world. But if we're not looking at other countries and saying, well, this is something we can learn from, we're not going to last very long. And we already got our problems beside that. But this is very important to look at. This guy is coming in. He's 53. Why do we have guys who are going to be 80 years old? Joe Biden just celebrated his birthday yesterday, I believe it was, or whenever it was, with a weird picture of a cake on fire. If we don't look at that and say, wait a second, we've got a 53-year-old, or I think he's 53, 53-year-old around their age person with the energy to start a movement. Like, you take a look, compare him to Ron DeSantis, and I know I do this all the time, but I'm going to keep doing it until that broad takes off those boots, number one. Until he gets his suits tailored, I'm not going to stop talking about him on the live. Go take him in, bruh. And it's not a joke, man. I'm being dead serious because your presentation matters. This dude, and it's not even that, actually. Let me scratch that. You don't have to take him in and you don't have to take off the boots. You just have to be who you are. And so this dude's hair is a mess. He's wearing whatever he's wearing. He's unabashedly who he is. And he's passionate with energy. Ron DeSantis, when you look at his tour stops or whatever, he's in a room. He's like in a coat hanger room with like 20 people. And it's like, I don't know, man. Everybody's not built to start a movement. And that's the rallying cry for Donald Trump, is he can do a movement. And this dude is here on the stage like, I want to hear you roar. 53. Now, Ron DeSantis is not 80 years old, obviously, but he doesn't have the energy. So it doesn't matter. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the self-awareness. He doesn't have the energy. Don't even know what he's talking about, and I want to.
Yo no me metí acá para estar guiando corderos. Yo me metí acá para despertar leones. Quiero escucharlo rugir.
So this dude has brought up it very much in the libertarian circles, in the discussions, kind of a divide, I think, or just kind of shines a light on different types of libertarians. There's all kinds of different types of libertarians. And I don't call myself a libertarian, just to be clear. But I do believe in maximizing peace, prosperity, and decentralization. So if you call that liberty, then I am a libertarian. But so I don't do the label because the label is very misleading. If you, from a libertarian standpoint, say, I'm excited because he's saying stuff like this, I didn't come to guide sheep. That's the opposite of Hillary Clinton. That's the opposite of Joe Biden. That's the opposite of, I don't know if Donald Trump would even say that. I came here to wake up lions. In the MAGA movement, and I'm not knocking MAGA for this, just showing a little difference here. MAGA's calling Trump the lion. And this is much more powerful. We are the lions. You can call Trump a lion, but he's just the mascot. We're the lions. And I think that's kind of what I've been trying to impart on MAGA by saying, well, Trump, I don't care if you're up on the polls by 99%. You have to debate because we want you on the stage debating and saying this.
Para estar guiando corderos. Yo me metí acá para despertar leones. Quiero escucharlo rugir.
Like, if you're not going to be on the stage to say that, then what do I need you for? And that's what I'm saying. So that's where you can kind of put a little, he's saying you all are, I'm not the lion, you all are the lions. I'm waking you up.
O sea, Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
¿Me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo.
digamos, los colectivistas.
Listen to the energy.
Al zurdo de
It
mierda.
doesn't matter. He's speaking Spanish. It doesn't matter. Listen to the energy.
Los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea. A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda?
But why do you call them shit? Because they are shit.
No.
He's talking about leftists. Everyone's probably seen this already, but I haven't had a chance to weigh in on this. You can't give shit leftards an inch.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
¿Me podés definir zurdo de mierda?
Can you define
Todos
shit
los que,
leftist?
digamos, los
He said all collectivists, all kinds of collectivists. Yeah, we talk about collectivism. We talk about collectivism a lot.
Los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea. A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
She said, why do you call them shit? He's like, because they are shit.
Porque son una mierda. O sea,
Pero vos mezclás-
no,
pero
pero
eso-
es que
eso
si
es
pensás,
descalifica- pero no, pero digo,
si
eso es
pensás distinto te van a aniquilar.
The-
Ese es el punto.
So
Es decir,
she's trying to say, well, it's just because you think differently than she's trying to imply like, oh, but you're just calling people shit who think differently than you. And he's like, well, no. They will. He didn't say this, but he's basically saying they will fucking kill you. That's why I'm calling them shit.
aniquilar. Ese es el punto.
Yeah, the same people who look at the J6 footage. See, this idea of left now is not even all just socialist, or it's just all convoluted, because I think it is a collective mindset when you say, well, I think all the J6ers should be in jail and they should lose their due process. Why? Because somebody told me that they were insurrectionists. So even if I see stuff that contradicts that, collectively, they all should be punished. It's a collectivist, that's a leftist, that is not Western culture, that's Eastern philosophy. And that ties right into him. He's like, they will fucking kill you.
Te van a aniquilar.
A leftist would want me dead just because of my philosophies. They'd be perfectly fine with it. The same ones who burned down cities for George Floyd, if they saw me on the sidewalk, they would step on my face on their way to Starbucks.
Te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte. Es decir, o sea, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia. No se negocia con esa mierda, no se negocia porque te van a llevar puesto. Si tienen un golpeador que caga trompadas a la mujer, digamos, si es de ellos, ¿entendés? Se pone el pañuelito verde y grita todo el tiempo contra el neoliberalismo, lo ocultan. ¿Me entendés? O sea, si de repente hay alguien que acosó a un periodista que acosa a otra periodista, lo ocultan. Es decir, a todos los de ellos lo ocultan. Todas esas aberraciones la ocultan. Ahora, si vos estás del otro lado, a vos te van a estropear, te van a matar, te van a dar con lo que sea.
This is all true. So what he's saying is, I'm going to put him in the background low. And what he's saying is, because I want to get the feel of his energy. I can't do it like him. If they, the left, have a guy that beats his wife, if it's one of them, they're good with it. As long as he puts on a green scarf, pro-abortion, and yells about neoliberalism, they hide it. If suddenly there's somebody who does something on the other side, they hide it. When it's one of them, they hide it. They hide all of those aberrations. Now, if you are on the other side, they will ruin you. They will kill you. They will throw everything at you. They don't care if they ruin your whole life. That's exactly what's happening with J6. I mean, when it's a leftist protest, they're analyzing the film. Both sides are guilty of this too, though. But the left protest, they're analyzing the film, saying, well, we didn't start this. This was peaceful. When it comes to J6, lock them up. But you see, the left is much worse. The left is like, go lock them up. The right, they're not really going to cheer to have people locked up for protesting, even when it gets wild like that.
Pensás como ellos. ¿Y sabes qué es lo bueno de todo esto? Hay algo bueno en todo esto. Porque como el error es humano, como todos nos podemos equivocar, ¿sabes qué nos obligan? Nos obligan a ser mejores. Y como estamos siendo tan mejores que ellos, como los estamos aplastando en la batalla cultural, los estamos pasando de arriba, porque no solo le ganamos en lo productivo, somos superiores moralmente, somos superiores estéticamente, somos mejores en todo. Y les duele, les duele.
Okay, I need this nigga to drop a rap album first. Before he gets into the politics of Argentina, I'm going to need to hear him drop something over a Kanye beat or something, because this is just, I mean, he's out here with like a ODB style. He's got a little bit of Busta Rhymes in him. He's got a little bit of KRS One. I want to hear him drop some bars.
Y les duele.
Oh,
Les
shoot.
duele. Entonces,
That was the lion. The lion came out, so I guess he's a lion too, huh?
Y les duele. Les duele. Entonces, como no pueden pelear con las herramientas legítimas, se apalancan en el aparato represivo del Estado, poniendo torres de guita para hacernos
I
mierda.
don't even know what this motherfucker's saying, and I'm like, I'm like ready to go, man.
Y aún así no pueden, no pueden. Tuvieron que bajar la nota. Tuvieron que bajar la nota. ¿Me entendés? Que están perdiendo. Están desesperados, están perdiendo la batalla cultural. Los zurdos de mierda, por primera vez se ven acorralados, los zurdos de mierda.
So he just went completely off on the left shitards, like we might never have seen before from a politician at that level. That's not even, Trump never done anything like that. So that's crazy. Politiquips, what's up? It's good to do a live at a different time, seeing everybody come through. I haven't talked to in a minute. Politiquip said, normalize trash talking leftists in Spanish. I need that. That should be my wake up alarm. I'm gonna probably set that. I'm sure you can do that on the phone. I haven't even done that in a long time. Use like a clip for, that was a big thing back in the day where you'd use an MP3 or something. But that should be my wake up alarm. You know, it's time to wake up in the day. That's gonna pop you right out of bed.
Pensás como ellos. Y ¿sabes qué es lo bueno de todo esto? Hay algo bueno en todo esto. Porque como el error es humano, como todos nos podemos equivocar, ¿sabes qué nos obligan? Nos
They
obligan a
force us
ser
to be
mejores.
better.
Y como estamos siendo
And since
tan
we're getting
mejores
better than them, since we're crushing them in the cultural battle, we're not only superior economically, we're morally superior. We're aesthetically superior. He's saying we're better looking. And that triggers them. And they can't beat us in real arguments. That's the alarm clock.
Aplastando la batalla cultural, los estamos pasando de arriba, porque no solo le ganamos en lo productivo, somos superiores moralmente, somos superiores estéticamente, somos mejores en todo, y les duele.
Wake up, wake up.
Y les duele.
Wake up.
En todo, y les duele.
Yeah.
Les duele.
We're ready to start the day. Make that normal. Politiquips. I love that. Remember Joe's red and black speech, salute the Marines. No, I don't remember that one. Don't tread on me. People say don't tread on me for sure. Politiquip says this is why I love him. I don't care if he supports Israel or whatever. This is a great comment here. And I want to transition to this comment from Politiquips, who's just a great insight all the time from Politiquips. This is why I love him. I don't care if he supports Israel or whatever. He's saying all the right things with the passion and waking people the F up. And I think that is the respectable take. For the libertarians to kind of say that he's some type of, I mean, that's the impression that I'm getting, is that he's some type of pure libertarian or anarcho-capitalist. I don't want to hear that. That's not, and I'm going to talk about that now in a second. I don't have any time to stomach that because I'm not seeing that. But if you want to say this is why I love him, because he says he's going to break down all this government bloat. He had the video where he was taking down, like, I forgot what he was saying. I don't even have that clip saved. That's one of his better clips where he's taking down he has all the different government departments on the whiteboard, and he's taking them down like this one's done, this one's done. So if he does that, that's great. That will be something to look at. But I think that is the takeaway for me. If you're excited about him, it's like, okay, Israel, whatever, Ukraine, as cringe as that is, okay, whatever. He's saying this type of stuff with the passion to wake people up. That's what matters. You gotta keep that narrow, and you have to acknowledge the problems too. But if you just want to talk about the celebration, you got to keep it really narrow with him, because there's issues as well. Let's get to the issues. As hype as he is and as hype as he gets me, what is this? What's happening here? Argentina's newly elected WEF puppet. Now, I don't agree with I'll get to the WEF stuff. I don't agree with that totally, but I'm just reading from Hotspot. This is the homie Nico House, and I don't know who else is involved with it. President Javier Milei waves Israel's flag. I want you all to be lions, huh? Okay, can somebody help me understand what's going on? The first thing that I saw when I saw this, I always think about this ad from back in the day because it played on TV a lot. This was the Southwest had those ads. They said ever want to get away, I believe it was called. So they're doing this concert. They're rocking out. Go. I want y'all to be lions.
Detroit was last night. Want to get away?
I just kind of feel like we hype you like, I want you to be lions. And it's almost like, did you realize you got the wrong country's flag that you're flying there, bro? Is that... He's like, Israel was last night. Are you okay, bro? Why are you waving somebody else's flag for? So it's obviously a red flag. I mean, it's some people you don't want to, they don't want it to damper the excitement. That's fine, whatever you want to do. I'm not here for false hope. This is beyond a red flag. It's puzzling. It's bizarre behavior. You would never go into this is before he got elected. You would never go into a job interview wearing the clothing of a competitor company. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, there's no explanation for this. I don't even think there's a reason to try to explain this away because you just go down a rabbit hole that doesn't go into a good place. And this has nothing to do with Israel in particular. There is no other country's flag that a president or somebody running for president should be waving. Period. I don't care if you're a national. Well, here's one thing that's for sure. He's not a nationalist. We've got that covered. That detail is sealed. We know for sure he's not a nationalist. So you don't have to be a national. You don't have to be a nationalist if you're a libertarian. You know, he could be a libertarian who's not a nationalist. Now, you can't project anything on this that's not there either. I don't know his position about sending money. I mean, Argentina is not any type of big player in the whole geopolitics here, to my knowledge. But you know, as far as monetary money or anything like that, they're impoverished right now. They're struggling. But so I'm not going to say, hey, he's for sending money over there. I haven't heard that, but it's just behavior that you can't explain. You can't explain somebody running for president waving another country's flag. There is no explanation for it. So you look at it and then now I take it over to we're starting to see a pattern. And there's somebody who sounds like Nicholas J. Fuentes. I'm sure it's not him because, you know, he's banned from X, so it couldn't be him. There's a guy who sounds exactly like Nicholas J. Fuentes, who happens to go on Twitter Spaces and spit bars like Nicholas J. Fuentes does. Let's hear what he had to say here.
Said that he would convert, but that really wouldn't work. Like politically, it would be bad optics if he converted to Judaism. He said that he reads the Torah. So the guy is like as philo-Semitic as any American politician. He's like as Zionist, as philo-Semitic as Nikki Haley or any of them. You know, take your pick. So he just won this election, and it's not just that he's a Zionist, because he is, but it's about this sort of global network is very conspicuous of these right-wing populist types that crop up around in Europe and South America, and they're all deeply, intimately connected with Israel. They're all pro-Israel, and they're not just, they're like rabidly pro-Israel, again, like neocons, like U.S. neocons.
So this pattern is undeniable. Does it mean anything? I don't know what it means for him, but he fits in this pattern. Remember, we talked about Meloni and Melani, from Italy. Everybody's calling her a fascist. Or, she's the next fascist. She's basically open borders, pro-Israel, pro-Ukraine, and it kind of fits right in the same. We're like, Melani, she was going to be this next. She was obviously not a libertarian, but they even kind of said she's the next Mussolini. And it's like, wait a second. That's not, I mean, not that I want that, but I'm just saying what you were sold was not what you got. So you got a lion in whether you wanted her to be Mussolini or not, but you got sold a lion, but then you ended up getting somebody who wasn't anything for that. I did live on Meloni, I don't know, months ago when she was elected, and then we had to make fun of her recently when she had to go bend the knees for Netanyahu recently.
They're also deeply connected to Netanyahu in particular. So Milei has said, all the aforementioned, he said, we'll support Israel. He waves the Israel flag, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got Bolsonaro in Brazil. Bolsonaro was considered the Brazilian Trump. Milei is the Argentinian Trump. Bolsonaro was the Brazilian Trump. And, his son was tight with Javier Netanyahu. They were always hanging out. Netanyahu's kid and Bolsonaro's kid were tight. And Bolsonaro, huge Zionist. And then in Hungary was one of the only countries that voted against a ceasefire in the General Assembly with the United States. That's because the Orban government and the Netanyahu government are also tight. Netanyahu and Orban are both against Soros. Orban's a big Israel supporter. And there's a deep connection going on there as well. Even the Hungarian embassy in the United States is filled with Zionist spies. I just know this from firsthand. I know people that worked there and they were Zionists, and connections to Israel and the Israel lobby in the U.S. Same thing in Spain. You've got this Vox party, which is again, this is against the phalangist, fascist types. The Vox party is like the neocons. They're very Zionist. You look at their leader, they're pro-Israel.
So that's why I'm very big on listening to people on all different spectrums. Nicolas Fuentes is the authoritarian right. I would say more Christian nationalist type. And his perspective is very much needed here. You don't need just a libertarian bias on this. You don't need a MAGA perspective only. You don't need a left perspective only. You need a perspective like that to say, wait, there's a good point there. That's something to talk about. I'm going to give him his chance to be whoever he is, because this could be a multifaceted run for him. He might not be able to get anything through his procedural structure, or maybe he might be able to because he's rallied the people and put pressure on these other politicians to have to go with him. But these are the things that we have to talk about now. If we're going to celebrate him now, then we can talk about this now too. But I'm going to let him be who he is. I'm not going to say definitively that he's going to be the next Melania. How do you even pronounce it? Is it Melania? Melania, I believe is how you pronounce it over there. And I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Giorgia Meloni, but phony. But we don't know. That's for sure. And we'll find out quickly. It will not take long because you can do whatever in your power. If you're really about that life, whatever's in your power, you will do to break it down. TNT Cycles PDX, what's up? It's early for you, man. Early for us. It's usually 12 hours from now before we're talking. TNT Cycles PDX, and I'm still getting over the cold, or it was a bad flu, cold, whatever it was. But so I won't be doing live tonight, but I will be doing another stream at 5:30 p.m. on this channel. Argentina is where the Nazi officers fled to. It's obvious to me. Yeah, I did hear that. I'm not an expert in that, so I don't know how that plays into historically, but let's see. His voice got higher since he stopped. TNT Cycle said his voice got higher since he stopped blowing yay. He talked about Nick. Old Jim Bob says, I wonder what the lawmaking apparatus looks like in Argentina. Does the president have any real power? I don't know. I'm completely ignorant on that. I'll have to look at. I don't think I'm not looking at that. I don't care to. I will only look into that as to the point where I need to figure out what I need to look at to analyze him is within the first 90 days, 30 days, basically, not even 90 days. First 30 days, what has he done? And then I would have to look into their process to figure out what could he have done. So it's for me, it's early to look into. I'm still just learning about him. So that's troubling. Then he also supports Ukraine. At least he did. I mean, this is from a while back. Said, why did you decide to bring in the Ukraine flag? He brought a Ukraine flag to an Argentinian parliamentary, or not parliamentary, but some type of legislative event. Javier Milei stands with Ukraine against Russia and Putin. He wants Argentina to adopt the U.S. dollar. We're going to talk about that. And will abandon BRICS immediately. Javier Milei is a strong supporter of both Ukraine and Israel. That's not a good sign.
A ver, ¿por qué ha decidido traer la bandera?
Traje la bandera de Ucrania básicamente porque para los que defendemos las ideas de la libertad no podemos soportar ni aceptar una invasión como la que ha tenido Rusia con Ucrania. La postura del gobierno ante esto. La postura del gobierno es una postura tibia y que es cómplice, digamos, a las peores dictaduras del país, a los autócratas.
For more in-depth information, you can listen.
So this is cringe stuff from Javier Milei himself. He says, they ask him, why did you decide to bring that flag? That's the Ukraine flag. I brought the flag of Ukraine basically because those of us who defend the ideas of freedom cannot tolerate or accept an invasion like Russia has done to Ukraine. What's the government's position on this? The government's position on this is weak and complicit with the worst dictatorships in the land, the autocrats. I don't even know what he's getting at. Ukraine represents the same type of problems as Russia. This is not a base take at all.
Traje la bandera de Ucrania básicamente porque para los que defendemos las ideas de la libertad no podemos soportar ni aceptar una invasión como la que ha tenido Rusia con Ucrania. La postura del gobierno ante esto. La postura del gobierno es una postura tibia y que es cómplice, digamos, a las peores dictaduras del país, a los autócratas.
For more in-depth information.
It's just a bizarre take. He can't even really articulate. Because why would you support Ukraine? What is even Ukraine? And who's backing Ukraine? So that's because when you go down that route, Ukraine is just as problematic as Russia, if not more. So that's not a take from an anarcho-capitalist. Not that I would have respect. I don't know what kind of anarcho-capitalist has that take on Russia, Ukraine. The take would be that's some beef that they got over there. I am for peace, but they're going to have to handle that beef. What we need is a strong defense in our country, though. He's an open borders guy, and that's concerning, but that's not the biggest one. The dollarization is a problem. Here's the Bitcoin, and I see why people are excited about him, but this is not, it doesn't add up. He's an economist. It ain't adding up. Here's the talk about him being pro-Bitcoin. This is via Forbes article entitled Javier Milei is now president in Argentina with a pro-Bitcoin agenda. And I don't believe he has a pro-Bitcoin agenda, not tangibly. But here's him talking about it. He talks a good game, I will say that. I'll talk about it here. He talks a good game, but his policy is not going to lead down that route.
Se habla de bitcoins en los medios, se habla de bitcoins todo el tiempo. No sabemos bien qué son los bitcoins, pero ya hay gente que lo pondera como una especie de alternativa monetaria. ¿Vos creés que es posible en Argentina esa discusión?
A ver, ¿cuál es el punto? El punto es que lo primero que hay que comprender es que el Banco Central es una estafa.
So they're talking about Bitcoin, and he's saying it's now he's talking about the central bank.
El Bitcoin lo que está representando es
What Bitcoin represents is the return of money to its original creator, the private sector. Money is a private invention. In order to be used to solve problems, for example, in a bartering economy, the double coincidence of wants. Paper money appears to solve portability. So you had different currencies, linen, wheat, salt falling off the table is where the word salary came from. And then that was evolving, and the currencies that people chose, the silver for small transaction, gold for bigger ones. It was dangerous to move gold. They used deposit and get exchange for a receipt. And that's all it is. So great. That all sounds great. This whole clip is going to sound wonderful. He said the legal tender allows the politicians to scam with inflationary tax. Bitcoin has an algorithm that will reach a limit, and it can compete with other currencies. And what is the good thing? The return of the private money. But what's the problem? The problem is that the governments will not give up the legal tender. Because with legal tender, they can scam you with the inflationary tax. Bitcoin is the natural reaction against central bankers to make the money private again. And the flip side is that your thieving politicians are not going to allow you to go against the legal tender. Let me bring that back, because that's going to be very important. He says on the flip side is that the thieving politicians are not going to allow you to go against the legal tender. El Salvador recently converted over to allow Bitcoin to become legal tender. How's that going? It ain't going. So we'll come back to that, and that's why it ain't going. In economies with high inflation, the scam problem is bigger. That's why you propose to close the central bank. So he's saying, I propose to close the central bank. But that doesn't match up with his actual policy proposals. It looks like he's trying to follow the El Salvador path. Here's his actual policy right here. Javier Milei's core idea, the one that has made him the apparent front runner to be elected. This is before he won, obviously. Argentina's next president is the dollarization, a plan to dissolve Argentina's central bank, eliminate the peso, and adopt the US dollar as legal tender, thus ostensibly eliminating the runaway inflation that has held the economy prisoner for years. That's contradictory. That doesn't work. How do we go from end the Fed to join the Fed? That's not exactly what the chants were with the Ron Paul, the great Ron Paul chants. This is a video from a live. This is from the Ron Paul run 15 years ago.
Can you believe that 18 months ago, at the beginning of this campaign, that I didn't believe any of you existed and cared about or understood anything about the Federal Reserve? Right?
I like this guy.
You know, as a consequence of our lack of concern for
So that was Dirk Wagner, just some random person who had a video on there. Thank you, Dirk. The end the Fed. It went from end the Fed to join the Fed. That's a bizarre position. To go from, well, I'm going to eliminate the peso and adopt the US dollar as legal tender. So if you could make the argument that he still, and he claims that he still wants to go to Bitcoin. I mean, that obviously wouldn't happen. If you're going to take the path of going from the peso to the US dollar to Bitcoin, that's not going to happen within his presidency, that's for sure. I mean, that's a 20-year process. I mean, it's just, if he were to assume he had no restrictions in his government now, just to go from the peso to the American dollar, just to convert that over, because you're not going to do both at the same time, just to convert that over is a 5-year process at least. And it's a very dangerous, risky process because as soon as everybody knows it happens, your peso drops even worse. And then dollars become even more worth more in your country. It's a very hairy process, basically washing all the pesos out of circulation and replace them with dollars throughout the world, basically for Argentina. It'd be very difficult. And we don't even know how many US dollars they have currently. So that process would take forever. And then you would have to go from US dollars to Bitcoin. And let's check in with El Salvador. How's that process going? I did a quick search on the El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin. And it's being kind of held up. Why? Because of what Javier Milei said himself. He's trying to get rid of the central bank of Argentina and then go to the 12 regional banks. He's not trying to get rid of the central bank. He's trying to switch from the central bank of Argentina to the central banking system, the convoluted spider web of corruption and money printing of the Federal Reserve, the 12 regional banks. He's trying to get into more problems. And if you were to even do that, the U.S. government's not letting you come off all that to go to Bitcoin. They just don't do that. And that's what El Salvador is having those problems right now. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators, including Jim Risch, Bob Menendez, who I still haven't done a live on that, on gold bars in the bag boy. Still haven't done it on that. But let me show you this. How's that conversion going for El Salvador? So El Salvador went to the US dollar, and then they're trying to go to Bitcoin to much fanfare and applause. So Risch, Menendez, Cassidy introduced legislation to mitigate risks of El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin. So basically what's happening is it is bipartisan. Anything that they're bipartisan about, watch out, run for the hills. They're bipartisan about, whoa, accountability for cryptocurrency. They're not going to allow you to just go off of it. And if you're on the US dollar, you're dependent on the US dollar, the trade implication, you lose sovereignty over your whole country. So that's why I said, number one, he's not an anarcho-capitalist. So just not. You just an anarcho-capitalist does not make a strategic chess move to tie into the Federal Reserve. That just is not an option because you can't get out of it once you're in it. I mean, libertarians taught me that. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but you're not going to the US dollar than just going to Bitcoin. El Salvador has not successfully been able to do that. It's not going well for them trying to do that. I wish them success in doing it. I'm not hoping that it doesn't work for them. I'm perfectly fine with Bitcoin. I'm not an expert in it, but I'll show you that. So El Salvador took a groundbreaking step, and they became the first country to officially adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. It was made about 2 years ago, but in the first half of 2023, only about 1% of all remittances received in the country were conducted in Bitcoin. So they're saying reluctance or hesitation among Salvadorians to adopt the cryptocurrency. It's probably pressure from the U.S. government is what it is. Once you're on the U.S. government, and the U.S. would love Argentina to be on the dollar. So they would love it. So you see the U.S. media attack him for being right-wing, but the U.S. media would love him to convert to the dollar, though. They would all the same people who are attacking him for right-wing would love him to come to the Federal Reserve. So before adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, El Salvador used the U.S. dollar. They did dollarization in 2001. They abandoned their former currency. I've never heard of this before. The Salvadoran colon in favor of the U.S. dollar. The shift was part of an economic strategy aimed at stabilizing the Salvadoran economy. Exactly what he's saying that he's going to do. And when you look at it now, you get nothing but complaints and attacks from the U.S. government in form of all these type of measures and proposals and political pressure in a bipartisan manner. It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's an American thing. So anybody who tries to move out of that dollar is going to be in trouble. So that's not going to be a thing. In Argentina, it's not happening anytime soon. Now, if he would have said, we're going to go straight to Bitcoin, that would have been a different thing. There's no U.S. dollar involved. He could have gone, before he came into power, they were thinking about going with BRICS. And obviously, I'm American. I'm not rooting for BRICS, but from the Argentinian standpoint, I don't understand why you would prefer the U.S. dollar. And then you see how that ties into the Ukraine flag and the Israel. That's all the same ideology. Federal Reserve, U.S. dollar, Ukraine, because that's how war is funded. So the U.S. will have more of a place to drop some of their money off, our money off, so we can deflate the economy a little bit. The U.S. would love that. So there's no complaints there from the U.S. side. So I'm gonna end with this. I think it's okay to have hope. I'm gonna read. So I'm just gonna end reading comments. You've heard what I've had to say. Enough of what I've had to say about it. It's a mixed bag, and the energy is great, and it's gonna be up to the people of Argentina to put pressure on their politicians to. They're gonna have to educate themselves, though. You definitely have to be educated, or you will be manipulated. We see that in Palestine. That's the biggest thing that you can take away from Palestine. The Palestinians are poorly educated. A lot of them are actually inbred, low IQ. That's not a diss. That's actually factually, there's studies out there about that. And what that means is they're getting manipulated. And I'm not saying that about Argentinians, but I'm just saying they have to be not just energized, because you can say F a shit lib or whatever, but that's not enough substance. You got to know what's going on and be able to hold Javier Milei accountable. He's into some wild stuff too. I didn't feel like getting into that too. His tantric sex stuff. I didn't really feel like getting into that. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. No, the problem as I see it is that Bitcoin value fluctuates so much you can't base an economy of it. So it shot up 60K, then free fell to 28K in no time. How do you price goods that way? I mean, I think in a perfect system that you just price it how the market fluctuates, and I think it will stabilize itself. I think some of that you saw in Bitcoin, it might have been inauthentic too. I don't believe that free fall and that increase was all organic. I think some of that was the problem with Bitcoin is government could be buying it up too and playing games with it. Elon Musk, I think, has been buying it up, playing games with it. We know for a fact with Tesla, at least, that he was. So, no, that's not a problem. I mean, you think about it, what would it look like to just end central banking? I think there would be fluctuations high and low quickly, but that would be much better to let the market, and then it would smooth out. You wouldn't have this in the long term. You wouldn't even have the same type of inflationary. Oh, every year there's 2-3% increase in inflation. That's all nonsense. But I think those are fair concerns, TNT, Cycles, PDX, and I don't know exactly how. And I don't even know if Bitcoin is the answer, but I would have said that's a lot more based to go from the peso to Bitcoin straight up. That would be more risky, but it would be a lot more based. If you're an anarcho-capitalist, you're not worried about the risk. You're worried about if it tumbles, it tumbles. We figure it out. Everybody has the right to bear arms because you'll need it when it tumbles. Anarcho-capitalism is not a philosophy to be. It is not like a Mary had a little lamb philosophy. It's something to take very seriously if somebody is an anarcho-capitalist. They mean that no government involved. It's very dangerous because private companies can become the government, and it's you hire your own security. There's no real police. I mean, there's no government police in that utopia. So you have to know how to use arms. You have to or hire somebody to protect you. It's no joke. But yeah, it would settle in though. TNT Cycles, it would settle in. Raul says, congratulations to elected President Javier Milei. Freedom and prosperity. TNT Cycle says Antifa likes bricks. My kids, I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to destroy the house. But one of them was nice enough to come down off camera and give me I guess they had a hot dog and didn't eat it. I'm still recovering. I don't even know if I want to eat it, but that's just, it's kind of cool when your kid does that. Appreciate you. My Cat's Bad Knee says anarcho-capitalism is the end goal, but the road to it has to be measured. Whew, I might have to disagree with that. I don't agree with that. I think if you let's say that there's nobody's 100% anything. So let's just say hypothetically, if you turned up the dial on a human being and they were 100% anarcho-capitalist, there is no measured approach to it. It just crumbles. So that's what I mean. But is that real? No, that's not realistic. And even if it's not realistic, I'm just starting to think if I were an anarcho-capitalist, there's not a measured approach to that. Help me with that. Mike has bad needs. I don't understand that. It's not a measured approach. It's you have to be strategic about it, but I don't think you don't go. Let me say this: you don't go to the U.S. dollar. You don't do that. Can we agree on that? That's why. Let's just talk about that. You don't go to the U.S. dollar. Going to the U.S. dollar would be like if with the end goal of implementing Bitcoin, it would be like me. I'm in Colorado. It'd be like me trying to walk to. So the end goal is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is California. And I'm going to walk from Colorado to California. That's how difficult. These transitions aren't easy. You just don't snap your fingers and transition over. But so you just say crypto. Forget about Bitcoin. Just say crypto, not a central bank digital, just a perfectly decentralized digital currency. I'm walking to California because that's the difficult journey to decentralized cryptocurrency. Going to the US dollar first would be like me walking to New York from Colorado and then walking from New York to California. So I guess that's more important to narrow in. That don't make any sense for anarcho-capitalists, to me. Especially an economist. That's another red flag. You see how there's these red flags? You're an economist. What's the argument here? What's the argument? I don't even understand why are you even talking about Bitcoin if your first idea is dollarization? That's a whole process you got to just focus on. You don't even talk about Bitcoin. That's a 5+ year process. Which is ironic because Ripper would say, fuck those roads. That's funny. I haven't heard, I think Ripper did an upload on this. I haven't heard his take on this. Have you heard it, Mike? He's doing his, is his show officially back on? I just saw he's done the segments upload. I haven't been in for Cannon's sake in a minute. But I saw he's doing political segments, at least political segments. I can't say the word political. I think it has to be measured because if it collapses too quickly, the population would turn against you. I think an anarcho-capitalist wouldn't care. I don't think you would care. The population can turn against me. You would have to tell them. That's why I gave you guys the rights to bear arms. And your country, your government has already been turned against you. It's your government now. You need to figure it out. Yeah, I wouldn't go to the USD. Might do stable coins. I'm not. Stable coins, it's just, I'm not an expert in it, so I don't like to dabble in stuff, but the coins are tied into currency. I'm not excited by that, man. I would say even if you went, I don't know what they're doing with bricks. They're kind of like backing it with gold, but it's not really backed by gold or something like that. If you have currency that's backed by something, then that might even be better than crypto. I don't know, because crypto's kind of, I don't know if everybody can use crypto. How portable is it? Old Jim Bob says, Mike has bad news. Is there a possibility the vision might be disrupted if not properly executed? People would see short-term disadvantages and abandon the movement too quickly. I mean, yeah, all of that is possible. But if you're an anarcho-capitalist, you would be more concerned about dismantling the system. Steve Johnson, what's up? Fred the Show. The ultimate G move is to know how to run tests and experiments, then move based off of hardcore collected data and trends. Anything else is just a guess about how things will turn out. Yeah, that's why this is important with Javier Milei, and because he's the one. I mean, there's no other libertarian, self-described libertarian who's ever been a president of a country this big, and he will be the forever test case. When we going from now until the end of the, be careful, annals or annals, the annals of history, he will be from now on, he'll be the first and most important because he's the first test case of liberty at this stage, even though, I don't know, what is he, a 50% libertarian? We'll have to see what he's in practice, but he's not 100% a libertarian, that's for sure. Mike has bad knees. He doesn't do too much of the political segments too much. Okay. He had a couple up. Let's just do it live. Let me, don't tell anybody, but I'm at work. I want to check in and see if anybody's trying to holler at me, but let me go check in on Young Rip. See what's up with Young Rip. I'm done with the planned segment of the show. Let's see what somebody I highly respect. I know he had a positive video that was uploaded. I just didn't have a chance to watch it. Was it alive? These people hate you. we should be ashamed. Okay, here it is. So he's gave a shout out to Javier Milei. Let's see. We're gonna do. I have not watched this. Gonna do a live react to the homie, inspiration, living legend, Eric, and very good anarcho-capitalist, Eric July.
Y'all know I had to do a video on this. Y'all know I had to. Argentina just got its libertarian president. We've talked about Javier a little bit. Make no mistake, this man's a libertarian as far as what he advocates and what he campaigned on. Not like a libertarian, like just paying lip service, trying to like sneak his way in. This man led with libertarianism, and he repped it unapologetically. In our lifetimes, this is probably the only libertarian leader of a country that we have. Okay. Big shout out to all the Argentinians out there. I got longtime fans that have been, definitely know me back when that's all I really did for a while. There was political commentary, and music and stuff. Met up with a lot of Argentinian and South American libertarians. Shout out to y'all, because I know y'all are stoked right now. But America should be ashamed of them damn selves, because you didn't get the libertarian. In fact, anytime there is a candidate that runs for like president that like leads with their libertarianism, you best believe there's going to be some chicken shit conservatives, right, who claim to value liberty so much, that will instead say that this is just not realistic. And then you say, because it's not realistic, we have to go with some socialism light. Argentina got a libertarian president before you did. That should let you know culturally you got a lot to do. Now look, I hope this man, the country succeeds. He follows through with his libertarian principles. Hopefully the CIA doesn't do CIA things. We know those types of shenanigans. But America should be ashamed of themselves.
CIA is not doing anything to him converting over to the U.S. dollar. I guarantee you that. He's pro-Ukraine, pro-Israel, converting over to the U.S. dollar. The CIA is good. They got no problems with him right now.
Every time, y'all know I've been covering this stuff for a very long time. You didn't want Ron Paul twice. You had an opportunity. Instead, you wanted John McCain and Mitt Romney. It's more realistic, right? It's more realistic, right? It's more digestible, right? You need someone a little more moderate. Meanwhile, the country continues to move further to leftism. And you always making concessions. Leftists make no concessions, and you always making concessions with economic leftists. And then you can see what's going on with the money situation right now, and everybody's like, oh, what happened? My dollar doesn't go as far as it once did. I don't know. Maybe it's just, Treasury in combination with the Federal Reserve, in combination with your recklessly spending.
Mike Has Bad Knees has a great point. Maybe Javier Milei is smart enough to know, if I wave that flag, I said that I should drive around with the Black Lives Matter shirt for my whole family. We should all have gear, Black Lives Matter shirts in our cars. Just in case we're in some city somewhere and some black dude gets high off a speedball, gets high off his mind, and resists arrest from trying to use a counterfeit 20, has COVID, resists arrest, act like a fool, a crazy person. He's as big as like Shannon Sharp, and requests to get taken out of the police car after they already got him secured in the police car. And a little dude has to put their knee on his back, and he passes away. And we don't know how he passes away, because when he's healthy, nobody in their right mind believes that that knee would have asphyxiated him. But we don't know how he dies for sure. And then you proceed to burn down cities. Just in case that happens, I can put on my Black Lives Matter, and they might damage the car, but then they hopefully don't know that I despise their beliefs. And Mike has bad knees says maybe that's what Javier Milei is doing. If I wave that Ukraine flag, I'm not giving them money, but I am going to convert to the dollar, though. Maybe that's a sacrifice I have to make sure that when I get out of my car to say hi to a group of kids, that there's not a red dot on my chest. It's a legitimate point. I mean, that's not, I don't think that's playing too much a 4D chess or 3D. It actually could be that level of thinking, like, how do I do this anarcho-cap? That's the only way you could explain it, actually. That's the only way you could explain it, is if it's like, okay, I know I'm an anarcho-capitalist, I'm a threat to the system, I am the most anti-establishment person that has ever been in charge of a country this large, and to get the CIA and Mossad and whoever else off my tail, I'm going to convert to the dollar and wave these flags. It's not out the realm of possibility at all.
Congress folk, and maybe that got something to do with it. Maybe it's time to try a little liberty. Try not to get so frustrated. Shout out Argentina. I'm gonna end on that note. Shout out Argentina. Dang. Before, I remember you mentioning,
that was
like,
a great,
this is Texas, right? This is Florence Park, Texas.
That was a great little upload there. He's like, I think he's mad because Argentina got it first. Well, we're not going to get any anarcho-capitalists with our election system here, even if we had paper ballots. We don't even have we have so many levels of red tape, and how hard is it to get on the ballots for each state? They make it hard on purpose. This is just what we have allowed people to do to our process is debilitating. Jeff O'Donnell says, as Dick Gregory would say, America's elect, however, don't select. That is done for us. Yep. Mike says, as bad as the Fed dollar is, it's better than the Argentinian peso. But it gives you less sovereignty, though. So I don't know. Yeah, from a monetary standpoint, of course, because it's like, I don't know, like 700 pesos or whatever for a dollar, but you tie into the US dollar, you have no sovereignty. You're tied into US interests completely. Pretty much. Cyan, what's up? What the F? What are you doing online at this time? I'm working. Doing a live. Friend of the show, great friend of the show, Cyan. What's up? What's up, Ray? Oh, is Ray sick too? I was out. Let me see. Ray said I got to get ready to go and get checked out because I have trouble breathing. Yeah, get good, man. I haven't talked to Ray in a minute, man. Go get checked out. Be good, man. That's scary. I don't know if it was a fever. I don't know, man. I could have had COVID. I don't know what it was, but I was down from Friday evening. Saturday, Saturday out, bedridden. Sunday, didn't eat anything. Bedridden Sunday. Monday, I went to work, but, it was tough. And then today was the first day I was feeling normal. Yeah, get good. I'm trying not to. Osiris, how is the hot dog? It's not good, man, but I got to eat something. At least I had my appetite back. It wasn't great. I don't, it's kind of I do have to talk with my wife on that. The wheat buns are not, these are wheat buns. Yeah. I mean, they're healthier, so, but the white buns are better. The wheat buns are not as good for hot dogs. But I don't care that much. Ray, yeah, send any thoughts and prayers to Ray. Yeah, friend of the show, of course. Great friend of the show. Thoughts with him. I'll text you, give you a call later or something. Hopefully see you're okay. So I think I got caught up on all the comments. I'm going to go back to some of the older comments, see, because when I was talking, I couldn't see him. His energy is fire. He looks a little insane. Yeah. You need a little bit of that. You need a little bit of that. Not the same way of doing business. Boring Life says, I need a raccoon skin hat. Like Davy Crockett. Rumble has a Roku app. Yeah, that's right. I was talking about putting it on TV. Yeah. Richard. Well, I haven't seen Richard in a minute. Everybody coming out the woodworks. There's a lot of talk about the radical left. It's just political talk. Yeah, I know. It's the same as saying radical right, but and I don't think I used I haven't used radical left here. The way that Milei described it was collectivist, and I think that's a good. Let's revisit the definition of collectivism just real quick. I think that's what because the interviewer did a good job kind of testing them like, okay, this is just people who disagree with you. Why are you labeling them as that? I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Well, they got a lot going on. You see what's going on with OpenAI? I don't even have time to get into that. I'm not prepared to, but that's a lot. Give me an outline bullet point on the definition of, and I think I might adopt this because I don't, as much as I hate the far right nomenclature, then why would I use far left or even populist left? I don't even like using that, but I just don't have a better term yet. Let me take a look and see. Oh my gosh, give me an outlined bullet point. Look it up, don't write an article. Let me see what it gets for a definition here. What would I say? Collectivism is sacrificing loss for the greater good, defined by a certain authority, something like that. Let's see. A political or economic theory advocating for collective control, particularly over production and distribution. Okay. Social organization. Viewed as a social organization where the individual is subordinate to a social collectivity, such as a state, nation, race. Yeah, I mean, we're all collectives in a way. When you say God, family, country, there's a little bit of collectivism in that, but that's not it. Cultural in collectivist cultures, there's a tendency for individuals to see themselves as interdependent parts of larger groups or collectives, often exchanging loyalty for group support. That's closer to what I want, but what does that mean, exchanging loyalty? I don't even know what that means. That's closer to the definition that I like. Let me look at that one. And that's what I mean by left. So I might start using collectivists more often. The tendency on the individual in collectivist cultures, people feel as if they belong to larger in-group or collectives that care for them in exchange for loyalty. That's what I mean. So Richard, when I say the left, I mean that. That's a great line there. People who feel like if they belong to larger in-groups or collectives that care for them in exchange for loyalty. That's why Black Americans have become collectivists. They have become loyal to the Democrat Party. They believe the Democrat Party cares for them. Same as any type of leftist that, the Liz Cheney type left, the Lincoln Project type left. Collectivist culture is especially likely to emphasize the importance of social harmony. Yeah, I think that's more it. So we'll see. I might adopt that more. Sounds like the Borg. It's not exactly the Borg, but it's very similar. I mean, I've used that analogy a lot. I don't think it's exactly like the Borg. I had a clip where it was a bunch of ants that needed to cross a body of water, and basically you do whatever you have to do to get there, like military. That's, you play your role and you sacrifice, your first infantry on the ground, they die. They know they're going to die. They're there to waste the ammunition of the enemies. That's a collective mindset. Like, I'm going to kill myself because of the greater good of, that's not what you're trying to do, but you're going to get unlived because of the greater war effort. The social harmony take is big among collectivists. So I'm just trying to think if it applies in every case, but yes, that's the group I'm talking about. That's what I really mean by the left. And everybody on the left isn't that way. I don't think, is the base left like that? No. It's all right. I'm gonna head out. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I'll be back in just a few hours, believe it or not. It's been fun, and you can visit the website middlemaga.com. If you want to see any articles or keep up with stuff, you can sign up to get email alerts on there as well. I will be doing email alerts because the homie Stephen Ignoramus and I do a monthly show now, and I don't get any alerts here. It won't be on YouTube. It'll be Rumble only. If you want an alert for like that Rumble only show we do once a month, you'll have to sign up for email on middlemaga.com. You can just go to the first page and put in your email address. The sum of the whole is always greater than the parts. Collectivism misses this important point. Collectivism is the opposite of America that was founded on individualism. So those two are not compatible. And the ending comment on Javier Milei is that he was attacking that. He's attacking that collectivist mindset that says I know that's a bad analogy with him waving the Ukraine flag, but says that this effort is good. So we all have to go for it and do it. That's why it is cringe. That was not a good ending to kind of be positive for Javier Milei, but what he's attacking is that collective mindset that says you can be poor, inflation is fine, because we need to help other people with these social programs, and we just keep printing money and we're fine with that. And he went straight up against it and won. See you, take care, get some rest. I'm not going to get any rest. Yeah. Well, I'll get rest tonight though. Peace.